From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Thursday, June 19th. Here are today's headlines. Iran says it won't surrender to U.S. threats. In a rare speech on Wednesday, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei called Donald Trump's comments, quote, absurd. He said, quote, the Americans must know that any military intervention by the U.S. will undoubtedly lead to irreparable damage, unquote. Israeli strikes have hit several nuclear and military sites in Iran, killing top generals, nuclear scientists, and hundreds of civilians. Meanwhile, Iran has fired some 400 missiles and hundreds of drones in retaliatory strikes that have killed at least 20 people in Israel and wounded hundreds. President Donald Trump on Wednesday did not say whether the U.S. would strike Iranian nuclear sites and that Tehran had reached out wanting to negotiate.
I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble.
The National's Thomas Helm reports from Jerusalem.
Although there's still very little certainty about exactly what's going on, after President Trump concluded his Situation Room, a few reports surfaced that indicated it might be more likely that the US is considering joining in Israel's campaign. The sense in Israel is still that the country's campaign against Iran is a just and necessary one. Therefore, we're hearing across the political spectrum that there is a strong preference for the US to support Israel in its attacks against Iran. A report emerged in the Israeli press that a senior Israeli source believed that Trump is seriously considering attacking Iran and that he will want to be remembered as someone who took part and didn't stay on the sidelines. It was a report with that limited sourcing, but nonetheless one that got picked up in the Israeli media.
Trump had flown back to Washington late on Monday, cutting short his trip to the G7 summit in Canada to confer with his national security team as the Israel-Iran air war raged on.
People from outside the government have also been expressing their desire that the US gets involved. Opposition leader Yair Lapid said in a video that he trusted that President Trump would do the right thing for the US, but that he keeps saying that he believes the USA must join the campaign against Iran. This is all speculation, but it's important to remember that this is happening in the context of the US moving military assets closer to the region. And the reports and the atmosphere is clearly concerning enough for the supreme leader in Iran to warn that the US would be making a huge mistake if it joined in Israel's fight against Iran.
Iran's once strong proxy presence in Lebanon was a key measure of its regional influence. But since critical Hezbollah positions were destroyed by an Israeli offensive, that influence has waned. And this poses a significant challenge for Iran as its conflict with Israel escalates. The National's Jamie Prentis, embedded with a unit from the Indian military, part of the UN peacekeeping mission in South Lebanon known as UNIFIL. He toured some of these sites that show just how much Iran has lost over the course of several months.
This week, I embedded with UN peacekeepers from the Indian military who are in South Lebanon. One of their tasks is to ensure the implementation of last year's ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. One of their roles is helping to ensure the dismantling of Hezbollah's infrastructure in South Lebanon. They showed me a tunnel which was about 2 kilometers from the blue line that separates Israel and Lebanon. This tunnel, which was very deep and believed to be around 15 meters long, it's believed that this would have been somewhere where Hezbollah fighters would have rested, would have stored weapons and other supplies.
UNIFIL is part of a 5-member committee which includes the Lebanese army that is tasked with supervising the implementation of ceasefire terms. That includes ensuring Hezbollah withdraws north of the Litani River and that its infrastructure, such as the tunnel the National was shown, is dismantled.
So what do we have here?
Okay. So post ceasefire, one of our tasks of UNIFIL was to carry out search and...
This is Lieutenant Colonel Alok Kumar Singh of India, who was guiding the National through the site.
And we had found one such infrastructure here. And it was a tunnel, which is around 12 to 10 feet deep and around 15 to 20 meters long under the ground. And after finding it out, we had reported it. And then now you can see it has been dismantled now. As you can see on the...
So the peacekeepers that we were with, they said that last June they had actually seen rockets being fired from the sort of area of the tunnel, but they were only able to go in and help dismantle the location after the ceasefire came into effect. And now this sort of location would have been incredibly useful for Hezbollah during last week's fighting between Israel and Iran. It would have been the sort of place that Hezbollah could have launched attacks at Israel in support of Iran. But because of the ceasefire mechanism, because of the dismantling of these sorts of sites, it's not in the position to do so.
An Algerian-led gang which packed migrants into lorries to smuggle them from the UK to France has been dismantled and its senior members convicted. Video taken by a migrant from inside a lorry shows it filled with 39 Algerians and Moroccans, including a 6-year-old boy. Those inside can be heard banging on the sides of the trailer, screaming and crying for assistance, with one shouting, quote, "Open the door." The footage was found on the phone of one of the ringleaders by officers from the UK's National Crime Agency, or NCA. The people smugglers' tactic involved bringing migrants of North African origin into the UK on tourist visas before placing them in lorries to be smuggled from the port of Dover on England's south coast to France. Each migrant was charged up to 1,200 British pounds for the trip. In total, 12 members of the gang have now been convicted. It comes as the UK is looking to crack down on the record number of migrants coming the other way from France to the UK across the English Channel. UK Home Office figures show 16,545 people have crossed the Channel from France in small boats so far this year, a 45% increase on the same period in 2024 and higher than at the same point in 2022, the record year for the number of crossings. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has now signaled that countries not doing enough to tackle the irregular migration crisis could face repercussions in the number of visas issued to their citizens. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow live coverage at our site. Yasmin Altaji, The National.